Now let's take a look at 2023 election. Of course, it is drawing near. Some big personalities have come out to declare their intention to contest for the post of the president, and of course that's all that is being talked about right now. We've not talked about the state government and and other levels of government. So, but we're going to be taking a look at this holistically, generally, politics in general. And now I got this topic from you because twice you've been on the show and you've been hammering on the youths not being involved in politics. So I decided we should take a look at it because despite the not too young to run law of 2018, Nigeria's political space is still overly dominated by the old generation of godfatherism, who determines who gets what and favor their cronies to the detriment of many young Nigerians that are willing to participate in politics. At least that's how I see it. So we will take a look at it at the debate. Is it that the youths are not just interested in politics at all, but they are not being given the space to be involved in politics? Because if there's at least NSAS protests actually opened a lot of our eyes to the fact that, okay, these Nigerian youths are not exactly as politically aloof as we thought they are. So I'll give you the floor to start.
Thank you. To put it in perspective,
okay,
we must let the Nigerian youths know that at age 35, they are qualified to become the president of this country.
Very well.
At age 35, they could become a senator or the vice president. At age 30, they could become the governor of their state. Or even age 25, House of Reps.
House of Representatives.
Now, look at these ages. At 25, you can belong to the State House of Assembly, you can become a national representative at the age of 30, you can become a governor at age 35. But the question is, our youths, are they so configured to take up leadership? And I think in criticizing our youths and condemning the old, I think we are doing Nigeria and Africa a disservice.
okay.
Please do not think that I'm speaking against my own thesis, as it were. Please, how old is Donald Trump? How old is Joe Biden? How old is Buhari? How old is Obasanjo? How old is Atiku? How old is Tinubu and all those who have declared to become presidents? Something comes with age, wisdom. The Emmanuel Macron that we have in France may not be readily duplicated here. We do apology to our youths. We do apology to our youths. I want to challenge them. What time are they spending their time for? They were given a litmus test in the NSAS protest. You said you were having a movement that was acephalous, that had no leadership. What ended the movement? Disaster. A disaster that we may not emerge from in the next 200 years. Because, and I want to use the philosophy of my people, which is encapsulated in the Yoruba, in the proverb. The Yorubas have a saying that goes thus: translated, a child loves to behave like an adult, but his young age, his inexperience does not prepare him for that office.
Okay.
Our youth may be pushful. Our youth may be able to discuss football from the beginning of the history of football till today. But our youth, politically prepared to challenge the leadership that is selling darkness to us at a very high cost. The leadership that cannot give us mass movement. Let's not be totally condemning of the present government. At least the trains are back. We are having movement by the railways now. Our youth, how many of Nigerian youths are able to produce their own drones, except that young man whose property was stolen somewhere in Lekki Ajayi in his car? He got back to his car.
Okay, now let's take a look at it one after the other. Yeah. Now, let's start with answering the questions. Is it that they are not interested in politics at all, Because there are two different
Yes,
things. Is it that they're not interested in politics at all? Or the space is not there for them to get involved in politics?
I don't think that the youth are not interested in politics at all.
Okay.
That is not the issue. The youth are ready, very much ready, to participate fully in politics. But the political space is not convenient for them to be there. One, if you want to contest election as a governor, the political parties will now bring out the requirements. And one of them is the money you are going to use to buy the form. That is the first step.
Which is in millions.
Millions of naira. So how many youth
Can afford that.
Can afford that kind of amount of money? That is the first thing that they use in sending them away. And then they will now bring up certain issues that will make them to be encapsulated, that will cage them.
And
If at all they now move them,
this
and
generation of youth
they don't
like
want
cage.
to be caged.
They don't like
They don't want to be
cage.
caged. That is the issue. It's not an issue of saying they are not interested. These youths are very much interested. And you see, when my learned friend was making reference to US and all that, but you discover that their political space is so open to everybody. Anybody can have access.
Like Joe Biden. Joe Biden started politics at age 20-something. He's been in politics for a very long time.
He did not become president at age 20-something. You must put it in perspective.
Yes. So we are saying the same thing. There was space. There was space for him at a very young age.
You must pay your dues.
Yes.
Every year wants to become governor, so maybe we should listen to him. He's whispering to me wants to become governor.
So there are so many obstacles that are placed on the political space that limit, do not allow the youth to be effectively in participation of this in this politics. And that is the reason that we will keep seeing all these old people recycling themselves. But because they have, in fact, I was looking at something in the social media yesterday. They said Tinubu 2023, they showed a field of big vehicles that are limousine that are all over the place for one person that is going to contest election. That is just part of what. So how many youth
can compete with that?
How many youth even have vehicles of their own? I mean, those who are willing to participate in this. They don't have comfortable vehicles that they will now talk of giving out or. So we have a political space that does not actually give them the proper perspective to be interested. But you see, we have to also tell the youth. The Bible says that the kingdom of God suffers violence, and the violence take it by force. They must take this political space by force. If they don't, there is nobody who will give them on a platter of gold. They have to stand up and do something. My learned friend said it. During the answers, they said, we admire the way they were going about it. Suddenly, they change. They turn around to do some other things. You understand?
That's you keep referring that. Now, according to information we got,
yes,
it was a different, sponsored by the government, according to news we're hearing. It started in Abuja, but anyway, that's just me. Now,
let me just add to what you're saying.
Okay.
There are systemic hurdles.
Yes.
Entrenched systemic hurdles against the youth. Yes, let's talk about money. There's so many other things. For example, the way we vote in this country, we don't encourage youth to be involved. We're talking about electoral voting, for example. If you do electoral voting, I can tell you for free that you are going to have at least 3-4 times more than the number of youth that have been voting before. A lot of youth will come out
when they don't think their vote counts, they won't.
You see, apart from that's one thing, but another thing is the difficulty in voting. Because today you have to go and queue somewhere, and then you are pushed. Who knows? If you are unlucky, some political thugs can beat you up. But if I can vote in the comfort
of your house,
or I can mail it the way they are doing it in some other country, it will be easier. So we need to look at it to see that youth can be encouraged to be involved in the process. Now, there are unconventional means of political participation. It's not just election, right? Through the NSAS protest, the youth will actually, that's the political participation, conventional political participation. But again, you can see what happened. The youth were also discouraged. Yes, I can understand that it was also some youth that got involved in looting and all of that, But you know, if you see what happened in Lekki, for example, in the one that happened in Lekki, there was no single incident of youth misbehavior.
It was majorly in Abuja.
But that was where people were killed. So this story about youth, turning around to become violent, I don't buy it. Because I was following Lekki, the protest that was happening in Lekki. That place became, they were even raising money for indigent people and all that. It was a beauty to behold.
Now, if you even follow the Twitter trend, some of these legitimate protesters actually snapped the pictures of some of these persons, thugged, and they were all over the social media.
I want to say that the youth are now participating in the political process using Twitter. What happened? The president wasn't comfortable with it. They shut down Twitter. You see, every time the youth wants to be involved in the political space, we always find a way to shut them down. Because we know for a fact that, whether we like it or not, it's going to be a matter of time. Twitter, social media is going to take over, and we're going to displace all these people who are, running this country at ground. But they are delaying the process. Another example. Those days, I'm sure when my friends here, when they were in the universities, the Aluta spirit was there, was high. Youth students were protesting, were involved in the political. But today,
you can't protest.
The politicians have destroyed that. What they now do is that they buy up the youth leaders, the SUG government. They buy them. They give them money to protect their interests. I recall, as when I was in university, I wanted to become the faculty president, for example. And I won't mention a name. Somebody came to me and he said it was sent by one politician, from my state. He wanted to sponsor the process. Your idea is that when they sponsor you, you become loyal, and so you are not able to fight for anything.
Oh, yes.
You see, there's this now. Before, when I was also growing up, I used to hear of National Rehabilitation Agency. People are criticized about things. The only thing you hear now is, like my other friend said, political speculation from
Lai Mohammed.
Before, it used to be an avenue, an agency for educating people. On the political process, on how to solve problems, on good conduct in society and all that. But today, what we hear is things like this, that the kind of fictitious things that we hear from the Ministry of Information. So there are so many, there are so many ways in which the government, the cabal that my friend has also mentioned, this very strong cabal, they have muzzled of the youth, and the other way the youth could express themselves was through Twitter, was through social media, and then we are trying to also
suppress that.
You see, we are surprised that a lot of youth have been arrested because they made posts about what's going on in their country. So many of them have been tried across the country. We have heard of stories in Kaduna, in Akwa Ibom, in different places where people have been tried on false claims of misinformation or whatever it is. All of these will discourage people from participating in the process. So if we want the youth to be involved, we have to make it easy for them. On the political side, if you want me to go and vote, make sure that I don't run the risk of being killed in the process of going to vote. If I fear that something will happen, why would I go there? I would rather stay in my house and be hiding. But if I can vote in my house, or I can mail my ballot like they are doing in most other countries, then I can easily do that. And you see that there will be an increase in political participation by the youth. So there's a system that has to encourage the youth.
Now there's also the what I would call the pre-participation. Now we know that the standard of education has dropped drastically from what it used to be in 50s and 60s and 90s.
That's the part of my friends. They are trying to keep us down. Keep us their education and capacity.
I used to use my father as as an example. Now with several persons have come out here now to say that anybody that wants to, let's use the police as well, that want to join the police must have a BSc in this and that and that and that. I was like, because that is BSc has university
become a primary school certificate, so to say.
Exactly. Now, my father, for example, never saw the 4 walls of a secondary school. He was the best. The best educational qualification was school sat, but he's as brilliant.
Teacher, yes.
Because the education then was so strong that even after primary school graduate, you can still get a very good job.
Yes.
Unlike now, even a first class degree, you can't find. So the style of education is better then than it is now. Now at 25, some people are still writing jam instead of participating in political parties.
Let me try to make a clarification.
Okay.
My learned friend has said it twice, that Twitter was shut down because the youths were becoming popular and were using it effectively. With due respect to him, I beg to disagree.
Okay.
Twitter insulted unjustifiably the president of this country. And for the first time, I'm in full support of Lai Mohammed rising up. How can you say to our president, who is one Buhari, complaining? Africans will be pulled down too much. So the step taken by the federal government to say, look, you cannot treat our president so shabbily, and we keep quiet. And they went into negotiation. That's not for today, but just to make that clarification. Now, I think it was Abraham Lincoln that said this. I will learn.
Sorry, before you continue that, it's like saying because of car accident you want to stop the use of car. Because everything, technology also have its
several other countries have bad side. The presidents have been insulted. Jonathan was severally insulted in this country, and nothing happened. So why must it be that simply because Twitter has said it?
Hello, we must balance our discussion, and that's the beauty of it. Our president complaining. Look at China, look at some countries. They will not only ban the company, they will ban the use of Twitter, ban the use of WhatsApp, and they create their own.
Their style of this is different.
Hello. You might say it's different, but no matter how much
very different.
Yes, no matter how much we criticize ourselves, we must not cheapen our leaders. Either we do not, even when we do not agree with them, we must not allow an external force. Some of whom really are behind the terrorism you are witnessing in Nigeria. Over 3 years ago, a university professor in this country had the courage to come out and say, the sponsor of Boko Haram was France. Has any journalist investigated that? So I am all for you not taking any nonsense from any media. Have you also known that the type of news they give to Africa is quite different to what to give to other parts of the world? Africans must wake up. I am trying to say a lot of things. We do not say in the name of trying to liberate the youth or criticize our government, then we allow slave drivers to continue to treat us as mere monkeys. We are not monkeys at all. We are as gifted, as intelligent as the next person in the US. So all I'm struggling to say is this. Yes, we can criticize our government. We may not say our government should go the way of mass shutting down, like China, like North Korea, or South Korea, or whatever. But I'm saying, indeed, you must have a level of control. It cannot be an all-comers. We are lawyers. All the freedoms guaranteed by the Constitution, they are all limited to the extent to which you cannot do certain things. Freedom to life. You yourself shall not take another person's life unjustifiably. Freedom to freedom of speech. You yourself cannot say something that you cannot support, or else you will be held for libel or slander. We must do this so that nobody accuses us on your good self of being sponsored to come and run down the government without giving any iota of credit to the government. No, that's what I'm trying to balance, please.
Okay,
So,
you were.
Very well. I was trying to say that there are several other presidents or leaders of this nation,
Or even of the world.
people all of the world, that people, the media and all that, had severally insulted, and they took it.
Goodluck Jonathan was
Because
insulted.
he was the most insulted of all the leaders.
Not
of
by
the
Twitter.
president.
You must balance it. Not by
No,
Twitter.
not
Let me
even
say
saying
something.
by
Not by Twitter.
Twitter or by Facebook
Twitter
and all
was
that.
putting down a whole country.
Twitter is owned by a certain human being that is being, that is managed
And
by
Nigeria
human
has
beings.
dealt
And so
with that
they are
certain
the
human
one
being.
feeding into the system. You understand what I'm saying? So I don't buy into that aspect of saying that it was right for the government to shut down Twitter simply because Twitter says something that the president felt it was an insult on his person. I don't buy that. Now, the issue of education. I want to say that by reason of the case of the decided case of Atiku against Buhari, that is a PDP against APC, the Supreme Court has said in a very clear term that you don't even need any educational qualification to rule this country. Because if the Supreme Court had reduced the educational qualification to the point of saying if somebody had worked and has experience, that qualifies as educational qualification. It takes care of educational qualification simply because the Supreme Court was trying to ensure that the educational qualification of the president was not punctured. So with that decision, unless it is set aside, any Nigerian can just decide to contest election at any political office in this country. That is legally. You understand? Then the issue of saying that because the educational, the standard of education has fallen and all that, the moment you go through the system of education, primary, secondary, probably university and all that, you have the basic necessary knowledge of how to write, how to read, and all that. There's no doubt the fact that somebody comes out from the university and will still write sentences that are becoming
the point I was making about education now
Yes.
is, it's not just about what you learn in the 4 walls of the classroom.
Very well.
It's also a way to engage your thinking.
That is the thing.
Now we see a lot of youth then coming out from right from their educational, they already have their innovation, starting companies. Now the education of the youth of these days, because of the style of education, all of them want to work for government. No, we are not. It is the educational.
The challenge is that we don't run a merit-based system.
Yeah.
Good.
The youth are seeing it. They are seeing people who do not have the merit, or who
Yes.
have the leverage.
They are there.
getting things. So what they are looking out for is the leverage. Right now, if you go to our universities, you'll be shocked. The other time I went to somebody in Benin, when I went to Benin, you see youth, small children, 18, 17, they are packing GLK, Mercedes Benz. That's what they are driving now. Through their illicit, ill-gotten wealth, and they're getting that feelers from the government. They'll tell you that who education help. Who education help? Because at the end of the day, we don't run a merit-based system. We are seeing people who make first class, they cannot get jobs. We are seeing people who have done so well in the school with the academics, they're not doing well. They're not doing well in the context of Nigeria. In Nigeria, to do well means you have money. If you don't have money, you're not doing well. So because of that, everybody wants to make money. So
The craze for money has been all-time high.
They're not interested in when we were in school. I remember those days. You put your legs in buckets of water
to read.
to
study.
In fact, I had a very dangerous routine when it came to reading. That even my friends were angry with me. If you come and visit me at 6 p.m., I'm not going to attend to you because I sleep at 6 p.m. and I woke up at 12 midnight, and then I read till the next day. Now that was on a daily basis. Well, today I'm asking myself why I needed to do that. But the point is that the youth of today really want to do that. They are looking at, they want to make money.
Please repeat that. The youth of today.
They really want to do that because
Yes.
society.
Yet you want them to become.
Let it complete.
The youth of them really want to do that.
Yes.
Because they don't see that as the route to making money. They see, because we're not
That is the
a
thing.
system.
At the end of the day, what comes out of it?
People who are getting children who are
The ones that have done that and going for class.
Yes.
who are running government, who are commissioners, who know so many of these people. These are perhaps criminals who are running government in this country. Let's be realistic. The youth are seeing that, so they are taking after what is happening. If we were running a merit-based system, if people were appointed on the basis of merit, if people got job on the basis of merit, then they won't have any choice but to get the merit. But right now it's not a merit-based system. Anybody once you have money, nobody cares to listen. Nobody cares.
That is the paradox.
If you don't have money, you are finished. Your father, even your father said, we don't even talk to you when you go home for
That's the paradox.
Unfortunately, I know we want to talk more about
I was going to share something with us. It will take less than a minute.
Okay, please do, because
I
we're
think
about
it was
to wrap
Abraham
up.
Lincoln who said, I will learn, study, and improve myself. One day, I know my chance will come. Taking that from where my learned friend just taught.
Well, Abraham Lincoln
Do
is
we?
not Nigeria this
Wait
time.
now. Wait.
There's barely any chance.
Solomon, my friend there Elvis actually helped me. The focus of our youth is not to improve themselves. It's not to learn. It's not to pay their dues before reaping. They want to make money.
to meet society expectation.
Society expectation of no. That is where they need orientation. That's where experience comes in. That though the Bible says money answers everything, but you, the man of wisdom, will know that experience, field experience, paying your dues will solve a lot of problems. So encourage our youths to understudy the elders in politics, to respect them, to learn from their mistakes, so that when they get power, When they come into succession, they will not make the mistakes of the past.
Okay, that's a very nice note to end.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
We will still, this is a very interesting topic. We still have to discuss this, and hopefully I'm going to get this exact panel. We'll talk about it again. Thank you so much for your time. Barristers Michael Mondan,
Thank you very much
Elvis
for calling me.
Asia, and Shakiri Omoloja. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for tuning into Galaxy Television. Next week is another day. Keep a date with us on this station, Galaxy Television, time 1 to 2. And the program is Democracy and the Rule of Law. I'm Solomon of Have a beautiful Sunday.